In first person, your hands are often the only parts of your character you can fully see. For example, this video is in first person, and if I wave at you, see, you're just hands. Because your digital digits are often the only part of you you'll see, most horrible things that happen to you in these games have to happen to your hands, right in front of your unseen, horrified face. So cower behind your IRL hands as we look at some of the grossest things that ever happened to your hands in first person. Beware spoilers and grossness for the following games.
The Far Cry series is not shy about horrible hand-healing animations. Ouch! Ah! One of the most unpleasant has to be one introduced in Far Cry 4, along with lots of useful beehives. In the real world, bees generally keep to themselves, having important things to do like pollinating plants and ensuring that life on this planet doesn't just die out. Also doing little dances. Aww. But Far Cry players can interrupt that important work with arrows or bullets. Time this just as someone is walking past, and you're rewarded with the panicked screams of your enemies as they become covered in bees and very quickly die. Unbelievable. They should really be more careful. Their friends have suffered a bereavement. Oh wait, that one's just sad. However, you need to be careful too, as these are wild animals, and just like so many other angry beasts in the game, once angered, they'll just go after the nearest human. Wander too close to a nest yourself, and you'll be swarmed by them just as quickly as the poor sods you set them on, and have them crawling all over you, forcing you to swat them off in maybe the worst animation we've ever had to suffer, and in first person for God's sake. Ridiculous panicking. Look, the trick is you just need to stay calm and stay still.
Ellen, there's a bee on you right now.
Yeah, where is it? Get up! Get up! These little stingers reappeared in Far Cry Primal, crawling all over your fur-clad arms. And returned in Far Cry 5 with a sizable American upgrade. And by that, we mean they were a lot bloody bigger. Fear flailing as these huge insects crawl all over you sucks, but you can prevent the bees getting to you by setting their nests on fire instead. Just don't get too near the fire yourself or you'll get another horrible animation.
Over there!
Can't bloody win with these bees. Just buzz off.
What the hell do...
You ungrateful, selfish wretch! You come into my house! You lay your filthy man-hands on my daughters! And now you even try to steal my property! How dare you! Rest while you can! Because I will hunt you, and I will break you!
To paraphrase Oscar Wilde, to lose one hand may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. But then Ethan, the star of Resident Evil Village, is already a provably careless man, because nobody who could be considered careful would ever willingly enter a place as spooky as this. The Baker residence from Resident Evil 7 is so clearly full of horrors that it comes as no surprise when Ethan's wife Mia, under the influence of a grisly mold infection, chainsaws his hand off. Hope their couples therapist enjoys a challenge. Anyone proceeding to play the sequel game, Resident Evil Village, will already be well aware of Ethan's tendency to have his hands mangled, in a gross way that you must endure in first person. Because this is a horror game after all, so it can't be all Lady Dimitrescu swanning around in fabulous hats.
Quiet now, child. Adults are talking.
So how will the game up the stakes for the sequel? Well, how about this? Very early in the game, Ethan gets his fingers bit off by a werewolf. Are you shocked? Terrified? My God! Sorry, I was just reading about how many Pokemon there are now. Hundreds of the blighters. Sorry, what were you saying? Fingers bitten off, you say? Boring. But don't worry, Resident Evil Village is committed to escalation, and shortly after, Ethan, and by extension you, must suffer through a moment that is probably the most shocked I've been in a video game while simultaneously laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. When Ethan, on the run from Lady Dimitrescu, must move through a maze-like area activating a series of switches.
Like I'd let you get away. You'll be sliced to ribbons!
Holy cow! With his sliced off main hand still stuck gripping the lever somehow, Ethan must now evade capture until he can find his way back to his amputated mitt and, brilliantly, add it to his inventory. Sure, this'll come in handy. Oh, come on, we can do better than that, can't we? We can't. Oh. Anyway, if you're thinking it's going to be hard to play a first-person shooter with no gun hand, don't worry, this isn't Ethan's first rodeo. All that severed hand wants is a little first aid fluid, and it's good as new. This also repairs the jacket, somehow, which we won't question, but should save Ethan some money on tailoring. I mean, that's just ludicrous. Sorry, I was just reading about this Pokemon called Greninja. Ridiculous.
Welcome to consciousness, my friend. Though you won't enjoy it long. We were good in the beginning. But you turned out to be kind of a failure, didn't you?
If you thought Resident Evil was original for having a dude named Ethan have awful things happen to his hands, then step back with us into 2005. Warning, Crazy Frog is #1 and has been for 4 weeks. These are strange times. In Condemned Criminal Origins, you play as Ethan Thomas, an FBI crime scene investigator framed for murder, because of course he is. To clear his name, you have to help Ethan find the guy responsible, known simply as Serial Killer X, by investigating your way through a series of condemned buildings. So you're a condemned man going through condemned buildings. Probably why they called it Condemned. Clever. However, what is not clever is losing consciousness and getting yourself tied up by the very serial killer you're hunting down, which is exactly what Ethan does. And turns out Serial Killer X was using Ethan the whole time to find other serial killers to kill.
I watched you, and followed you, and used you to find the serial killers you so desperately sought, and then kill them.
Wait, a serial killer who kills serial killers? Did Dexter get its ideas from this game too? But Serial Killer X isn't exactly original either. He kills his victims the way they killed their victims. And since Ethan is not a murderer, X just can't make his mind up, so poor Ethan's finger gets sliced in all the excitement, leading him to scream for a weirdly long time.
Perhaps it would be better if you lost a finger.
Stop screaming, Ethan, and get that thing on ice! Every second counts!
No, ma'am. Those are vigors I'm talking about. Brought to you courtesy of Mr. Jeremiah Fink himself.
In BioShock Infinite, a life with vigour is a life that's bigger. At least that's what all of the adverts around the floating city of Columbia say. These elixirs offer their drinkers a variety of special abilities to make everyday jobs easier, such as sneaking past security by making machines work for you instead.
Well, as it is an assemblyman, Buford, your spot at the raffle awaits.
Seems like a bad idea to put the possession vigor seller right next to the security bot that's guarding the fancy party, but hey, we didn't design this fair. Still, when you pick up the Devil's Kiss vigor after the previous success with possession, Booker is keen to try more.
Well, you only live once.
Yet doesn't only living once mean that you have to be very careful with the one life on this earth that you do have? Just maybe? I'm sure it'll be fine. Ah, not fine! Not fine! Yup, instead of a fun trippy sequence like you got with possession, you get a horrible trippy sequence where your hands go all on fire and melt right down to the bone. The only upside is that because this is a vigor-induced hallucination, it doesn't cause any real permanent damage, and so Booker's hands are perfectly fine for the rest of the game.
Excuse me, can I get some help here?
Certainly, sir. Sorry about the wait!
Oh, for sake.
Oh, a health station. Russell, the Combine use these. Are they safe for people?
Yeah, I use them all the time.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're great. Look, honestly, just pull the handle and put your hand in there.
Half-Life Alyx is an outstanding game that really immerses you into a dark world through the power of VR. My point still stands. This being a VR game, you almost literally have to get your hands dirty, as every gesture you make in the game has to be made with your hands IRL. You want to pick up a dead head crab? Then you gotta physically reach out and do it yourself, buddy. Ew, 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 ew. But headcrabs aren't the only Combine creatures you'll have to interact with on your journey as Alyx. Get injured and you'll have to use a health station to top yourself up. These Combine machines charge up your health using an antlion grub. And how do they administer this health boost? It crushes the antlion grub and injects the goo into your hand via 7 tiny needles. Again, I say, ew, 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 ew.
Hey, you were right. These are great.
Great is not the word I would use for that experience, Alyx. Ugh. In an equal mix of gross out and guilt, these stations are found throughout the game, and for many of them, you have to hunt down the grub in its little canister. So not only do you have to inject yourself, but you also have to carry a horrible worm thing in your hands, and no, it being encased in glass doesn't make it any easier, especially once you've had a good look at its pincery little mouth. How many times am I going to have to say, ew, 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 ew? If you're not a fan of needles, shoving your hand under a bunch of them in VR is not the easiest thing to do, let alone when they're filled with alien bug goop. But at least it does get mildly easier every time you do it. Emphasis on mildly.
You know, I love the mountain air up here at night. You want to head out and take a stroll? Go ahead, I'll wait here. Go on, run free. I'm in no hurry. No? All right. Those to the grindstone, I like that. Okay then, right this way.
Anyone with dreams of being a journalist will have an idea of what it would be like. Getting great scoops, having a hat with a little press label tucked in above the brim, keeping all your fingers. Unfortunately, this dream does not come true for Outlast's Miles Upshur, who, in search of that big scoop, heads over to the bizarrely named Mount Massive Asylum to mount a massive investigation. Is the asylum on Mount Massive? Or is the name of the mountain Mount Massive Asylum? At first it seems like Upshur's investigation is headed in a dynamite direction when he finds a bunch of dead bodies. Turns out the inmates being experimented on got kinda mad about it and escaped, which A, sounds like a story, and B, is causing all sorts of horrible jump scares. Ah! Much of the game has you running for your life, but that comes to a halt when Dr. Rudolf Gustav Wernick gets the best of you and straps you into a wheelchair.
Okay, here we go, arms and legs inside the car at all times.
Something tells me he's not taking us to Disneyland. No, instead, this walking piece of human jerky wheels poor Miles into a surgical room that most certainly hasn't been cleaned since its last operation, before going into a pseudo-intellectual monologue more tedious than getting stuck talking to a first-year philosophy student at a house party.
You have to rob Paul to pay Peter. There's no other way. Murder is the simplest form, but what happens when all money's gone?
Yeah, good question. I might just, the kitchen, I know him. Mark! The good news is that things get rapidly less tedious. The bad news, it's because a few seconds later, Dr. Wernick has picked up some giant rusty shears to, well, shear off your finger.
You paying attention?
Yeah, I kind of have to, Doc. It's first person. I can't look anywhere else. Dr. Wernick's slapdash surgery certainly looks and sounds like it hurts. And the end result isn't great either, leaving poor Miles with 2 fewer fingers, 1 gnarly looking bone sticking out, and us the players with the sudden urge to vomit onto our controllers, all while Dr. Wernick is continuing to philosophise.
Here's how we cheat here. We made a consumer to the means of production. This thing is gonna sell itself.
This guy reads Das Kapital once.
When Cyberpunk 2077 came out, it didn't let you change your haircut, but it did let you make multiple surgical changes to your fragile human body. And unlike hairdressers in Night City, there were a lot to choose from. But the most extreme, most body-modifying example had to be the Mantis blades. Find a pair of these babies to install and you can change your entire forearms into spiky, stabby swords that sound awesome right until you realise they disgustingly fold and unfold from under your skin. That sounds painful. Is it painful?
No.
Ooh, that looks painful. Watching these blades come scything out of your delicate forearms over and over begs a lot of questions. Is that real human skin on top? Does it feel as nasty as it looks? What exactly was wrong with guns again? As fun as it is to whiz around slicing up bad folks, one does have to stop and wonder whether having all your bones and muscles replaced by wires and metal was a good idea. At least the takedowns look pretty sweet. Okay, maybe I can put up with my skin opening sometimes. Maybe.
So those were some horrible things happening to your hands in first-person games. Ah! Yeah, there we go. That wasn't so bad, was it? No? That wasn't so bad? No. So hand acting is hard, is what we learned today. Oh, hang on, more hand acting. I think did that mean like and subscribe? 10, was it a count? Yes! Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Hey, first person viewer, where are some more videos people can watch? Yeah, that was probably roughly right. Yeah, and why not? Oh, hang on. There we go. Cameraman John is helping. There they are. And if you really want to support our channel, why not go to patreon.com/oxclub, where you go, yes, that's enough. You can, there's such a thing as overdoing it. Okay, yeah, all right. Thanks for watching.